WrestleMania, AEW, Dynamite, and so much more. Here is your escape from the bad news because we're talking about wrestling. This is WrestleZone daily or nightly or whenever you're listening to it. What's up, everybody? It is Kevin Kell. Follow me on the Twitter at Kev Kellum. You can join me, as always, the faithful friend, the man from the place where WrestleMania was supposed to be. Where it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be there. Oh, Robert, how are you, buddy? How you doing? How are you doing, you feel us?
I feel like we're living, and at this point, that's just like, that's the plus. You know, we're here. We're doing the thing. We're doing it no matter where we are. We're doing it, you know, and but what else is there to say? All right, I have lost Kevin.
Oh, yeah, there I am. Don't worry about it.
It is just me. I'm noticing our streaming provider, Be Live.
Yeah, Be Live being Be Live. Can you see me on the screen there, Robert?
Just adjust our audio settings out of the blue, but you know.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, good. You can hear me fine. You can see me fine. We're all right here. We're live.
We're writing it. We're doing it live. We're
F it. We'll do it live.
Sting is gonna play us out.
Sting with his new song. If you haven't seen that track, go look
I believe he'll be playing the baseball bat, though. It won't be a song.
Go look up Bill O'Reilly losing his mind on Inside Edition. It is a gem of a program. It is something special here. So a lot of wrestling news to get into. You got to catch some of AEW Dark as they rolled out who will be competing in the All Elite Wrestling TNT tournament. We'll talk about that. Big changes to WrestleMania in terms of how you can watch it. It may not change how some of you watch it, but it may indicate how you may watch WWE in the future. And we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Your comments will be popping up on screen. We want you to tell us how you want the 2 nights. WrestleMania, it's too big for one night. Did they not bury that nail enough with you on television this week?
No, of course not.
We'll talk about that. And
did you know that Shayna Baszler was a cage fighter?
She's a cage fighter. Not an MMA fighter. She's a cage fighter because it sounds cooler.
She is a cage fighter. They're not putting her in a cage. There's no reasoning to keep harping on the fact that she's a cage fighter, other than they want you to know that she is a cage fighter.
Mm-hmm. If you're with us for the first time, get your comments on screen like everybody else who's here with us live. If you're listening to the podcast, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. Subscribe to WrestleZone Radio on your podcast app of choice. We're getting a bunch of extra audio on there, and we will have some WrestleMania weekend audio as well. Some very, very special stuff that we're looking forward to. So make sure you keep that up there. Yes, COVID-19 can't stop WrestleZone. Yeah,
no, it can't.
Thank you, Chris S, for posting that in here. If you're with us the first night again, people saying, "Is it pizza night?" It's pizza night every night. We need a pizza sponsor. Who's our pizza?
Is it pizza night? I don't know where that came from. I know we were talking about maybe getting some Taco Bell after the show, but
I'm free taco day. You get a free taco today.
It is free taco day. It was free pizza day not too long ago. I think the virus got away.
Yeah. Robert, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to dub the stream here from it onto our website as we're talking. But yes, it is free taco day at Taco Bell. Hopefully you've enjoyed the deal while we're getting ready here and getting into the swing of things here. Are you feeling the excitement for WrestleMania this weekend? Are you looking forward to 2 nights of WrestleMania that will be moderately timed at about 3 hours each? We've revealed through our friends at WWE Network News that both nights of WrestleMania will air at 7 Eastern on Saturday and Sunday, and it looks like they won't be way too long. Last year's WrestleMania was way too long. I went to it live, but it was fun. But it was the major complaint was that it was way too long, right?
Yeah.
Here's WrestleMania will air at 7 Eastern on Saturday and Sunday, And each they have a little bit more time on the Saturday shows compared to the Sunday show. And it's supposed to be about 3 hours on each show. Now, obviously, you could go to 4 if they want.
Well, Kevin, I don't think they need to go to 4. Do we really need 4 hours
Maybe a match runs long. I mean, also the whole thing's taped, so you can edit. They could edit these matches down if they really want.
That is true. Gronk, old Gronky Kong over there,
Gronky Kong
is gonna be the host of this year, and it's weird. You can't really do too many sketches. You can't do.
Oh, yeah, because you don't the laugh track. They're not going to dub it in a laugh track, but I mean, you don't have the audience to kind of bounce off of.
Right, and I think it's going to be awkward. We were talking about, maybe he gets a segment with Corbin. Maybe that's good for him. I just don't know.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it here. You told me that AEW has some big news. They rolled out the names for their TNT title tournament. I'm going to have to get used to that for a while. So what are the big names that are rolled out here? Because they're definitely not going to roll this out with, just the underlings of the promotion. They're gonna go with their big guns, especially when they're going to brand this as, their secondary championship, a new thing. They love doing new things there that are somewhat traditional, and this is in that case. What do we got?
Well, we got half the bracket. And the first half of the bracket is Shawn Spears, who will be taking on his old foe, Cody Rhodes. Interesting matchup. They've only had one so far. You got Tully and Arn in the corners. I think that's a great pairing off. And then you got Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. Now, I had pegged either one of those individuals to be the overall winner. With the way this thing is shaking out, without knowing the other half of the bracket, this bracket certainly looks like it will play out as Cody gets the Duke over Spears, Darby over Guevara, and then we get Cody Darby 3, with Darby being able to go over Cody. That would be my prediction for the first half of the bracket.
So you definitely think it's Sammy or Darby winning this thing?
Oh yeah, I think whoever wins that match will win the belt.
You think they want to make somebody in this tournament?
I take that back. That is if the other half of the bracket does not feature one Maxwell Jacob Friedman. In that case, I think the final match of the tournament would be Cody versus MJF 2.
Herman Zakar texting in here saying he hopes Sammy wins. That's what he's kind of rooting for. I think it'll be a bigger name. I think this is something where Cody Rhodes could win this.
Yeah, okay, but I'm just going to play devil's advocate right off the bat. You did this, big thing in October, November of, I don't want to be Bill Watts. I don't even want to be Dusty Rhodes. I will not book myself to win my own world title. Okay, fine, Code. By the way, we got this new title and I'm winning it. Like, you can't go that route. Otherwise, it's a hat on a hat. It seems disingenuous from Cody. I would just say, why make the announcement about the world title in the first place?
What if he gets close? Is that more interesting if he gets to the finals and he doesn't win the title?
It depends on who the
gold always eludes this beloved superstar in AEW. That's a longer story.
It depends on who's on the other side of that. I think this is a real belt that you can establish as your second tier, and your on the rise kind of belt. And I think Darby Allin will be very good for that. Also, even if they're not on TNT, they can call this thing the TNT title, because outside of just the sheer branding of your broadcast provider, it makes sense because your weekly show is called Dynamite.
True. Yeah. It makes a point here. Other people I see in here, the very faithful James Espanto Fernando. Give him a couple of other rounds there. He says he's going to go outside the box. Say it's Lance Archer. Lance Archer, one of the big signees of AEW recently, coming over from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Time in Impact, and WWE. Definitely a decorated veteran here. He is a guy who said he wants Cody. He's chasing Cody. Cody hasn't really answered his challenge straight up. Could this be a way for those two guys to lock horns at some point in the finals?
Yeah, and I'm not interested. I really need them to put this on a new guy because they're already starting to get smatterings of criticism about gathering the leftovers, the Brody Lees, the Matt Hardys. I need them to go, here's Shawn Spears. Yeah, you can argue Shawn Spears is a leftover, but he has less tenure and less of an established brand within WWE. He can become his own man. He can go, here's, I don't know, Sammy Guevara, Sonny Kiss, if they decide to put Sonny in the tournament. There's a lot of young guys, and I think that would be good.
Other people, Isam Walker saying Hangman could win this. He is one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions, kind of a questioning his status amongst the Elite faction. Some people thinking he'll turn on his tag team championship partner, Kenny Omega, at some point. That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind them going in that direction here. Like this one coming in here. Some people, Sean Smith saying the belt should explode. The TNT belt should have fireworks.
Okay, you missed the turn. GCW is on hiatus right now. Nick Gage might be interested in a belt that explodes.
Didn't FMW back in the 90s have like their exploding ring matches?
I've seen a lot of those. And listen, let's not mince words here. Asuka was in a lot of those, and she is a badass.
Yeah. Jimmy Gotzi's texting and saying Matt Hardy could just teleport himself to the
Now we need to address the elephant in the room here. Matt Hardy has come out and said it was not teleportation. It was merely Vanguard 1 and his fleet of drones projecting the image of his vessel onto the screen. Therefore, Chris Jericho had no clue. In fact, Matt Hardy would say that Chris Jericho was absolutely mentally intercoursed.
Jess Alt texted and said he wants more Orange Cassidy. I could tell you I was at AEW Revolution. He was over like Rover. Nearly got as much reaction as Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho or Cody. He was probably one of the most over guys. And if you want to go with a guy who's just over and fans want to see him win, Orange Cassidy could be that guy. But a lot of people say he's just a comedy character.
Because he is. You gotta really walk this line very fine here. You can't overexpose a guy like Orange Cassidy. You can't have too much of the vitamin D or C. Okay. It's C. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. You can't have too much of the vitamin C.
Let's get into some other AEW news. Don't worry, we'll flip on to the WWE WrestleMania week stuff here, but I do want to get this in. COVID-19 has made, obviously, a drastic, huge world.
I don't remember that superstar ever debuting anywhere, Kevin. Who is this? Is he in the Dark Order?
The views expressed by Robert DeFields do not represent those of WrestleZone.com.
I'm just saying, the people want lighthearted humor, Kevin.
All right,
they're tired of hearing about Corona. Okay. They don't want even Corona beer anymore. Corona beer is going to take a hit.
Yeah, they're going to have to change their name. They're going to have to change their name.
They're going to. I think they've been branding in recent commercials as Corona Premier. I think they might just switch off to Premier. It's gonna.
The Premier gets bigger on the bottles and like the sound. Yeah,
you're gonna see it.
All right, so obviously it affected WrestleMania. They've been forced to tape it in their performance center and in quarantine some talent in the process. Some guys not into the idea of doing it. Roman Reigns off the show. Obviously, it's just devastated the independent wrestling world. There's no independent wrestling shows in the United States now for weeks, and it's still affecting New Japan. They've canceled almost all their shows into mid-April now, and they haven't been active since early January. So I could be wrong on that, but they've been out of the mix for a long time. Some wrestling is coming back to Japan, but in very small, sparse arenas. I know Korakuen Hall ran recently with DDT. But live wrestling is a hard thing to pull off, and AEW has also been affected. They now longer are not taping in the Daily Center, which is basically like an amphitheater tied to the Jacksonville Jaguars compound, where they also have their stadium. That's a football team owned by the Khan family, who own AEW. So they were able to do it there. And a lot of people thought aesthetically that looked very, very cool the past few weeks with AEW Dynamite, and actually scored a really great rating for them. And that's where Brody Lee debuted and Matt Hardy. And a lot of fans saying that AEW was really pulling off the idea of doing the shows with no fans because they had wrestlers around the ring to kind of add chanting and cheering and different things to it. With some criticism, some people saying they had too many people around the ring with all the regulations and stuff like that. Now comes even more regulations from the state of Florida, where you're from, and they're using a parking lot near the Daily Center to do drive-in testing coming up, and they're going to set up a testing center there for the outbreak of the virus. This has then forced AEW to move yet again. And tonight's episode of AEW Dark was actually filmed in a quote-unquote undisclosed location. Looks like an arena-type scenario. It's a big compound. I know they have a train.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure that the most recent Dark was still taped at the Dailies because it was filmed last week.
Well, we're finding out that they're going to do it in an undisclosed location. That's what we know. That their next wave of content that they're taping is going to be at this undisclosed location. How do you think they're dealing with this? I mean, AEW has to kind of roll with the punches here, and so does WWE. But what do you think of them doing it at an undisclosed location? They're saying they're doing this because they don't want fans to try and show up.
I guess. I mean, listen, there are a lot of people that we're divided on this issue. I know we are. There are a lot of people who feel like it's great that wrestling is continuing, giving us a little bit of normalcy and entertainment in our very turbulent situation right now. I'm of the opinion that AEW has no reason to be going on right now. Like, WWE has the excuse of it's Mania season. Let's just get through the finish line. AEW could easily have taken the high road here, called off their stuff. Even that's
it could be a TV contract thing. Sometimes it's not exactly clear.
But I think there are other ways around it. Sure. Film interviews, get to know your talent on a deeper level. There are ways.
WWE relied on their tape library a lot. I mean, they filmed a handful of matches for Raw and SmackDown the past few weeks, but a lot of people critical of their replaying classic matches from the Rumbles and past Manias on Raw and SmackDown.
If you were to turn the television right now to FS1, you would see this year's Royal Rumble. That is currently what is playing on FS1. Like, I think WWE obviously has the advantage in that they have decades upon decades of a library.
Yeah.
But I think AEW missed the ball here on just saying safety first, because they could have gotten the kind of the support, that rallying support of like, oh, look what these guys are doing. They put their talent first. Now, granted, that's not a slight on the shows. I think the way that they do their shows are great. I think they've done it a lot better than WWE from minute one. But I just think safety first.
But then some people would say there should be no wrestling at all, that neither of them should be running at this time. And that's a debate that you and I have touched on before.
Yeah, and after watching, and granted, you shouldn't watch the news, folks. Don't sit there in front of the TV. But after watching the news, maybe there shouldn't be wrestling right now. I mean, it's not an essential... I should bite my tongue because we work here, but it's not essential part of the world. We're lucky enough to be involved in niche content, and yes, it's great, but it's not essential to the running of our society.
Well, that folds us over into WWE Monday Night Raw. You and I touched on our last episode. You guys can go check it out. We talk about The Undertaker becoming a badass once again, and how much you and I love that promo, and Edge really getting under his skin. And the promos really selling WrestleMania, but it didn't transfer into a great rating. Showbuzz Daily reporting today that this episode of Raw was underwhelming, dipping under the 2 million mark to almost 1.85 million. This is a pretty low number for them. It's kind of one of their worst numbers for a non-holiday episode. But the news cycle has been kind of crazy. And also there's been a lot of fluctuation in broadcast schedules. But I thought WWE put up a good episode last night. You and I both enjoyed it.
I think that this is essentially the third lowest all-time rating for Raw, and you can't count what's happening here. I say it all the time. It's a non-canonical time where as soon as we get fans back in venues, none of this is going to matter. Maybe maybe Austin Theory rode a lucky wave and he's going to be on Raw, but like none of this is going to matter. And to say it's got the third lowest, first of all, nobody cares about a tape show. Yeah. Everybody's the morale around this week is super low. The first thing Tyler Treese said in our WrestleZone chat this morning was, "It doesn't feel like WrestleMania week." I go on Twitter, people say
you and I were supposed to hang out for the first time in person this week.
It would have been this week.
Robert and I have been doing this podcast together for now 2 years, and we have never met. We only interact in this way. All right. And I was all dead set on, where am I going? I want to see an alligator fist fight a guy on meth. I want the full Florida experience.
Lucky for you, Tiger King was released on Netflix. I think you might have gotten to see something like that.
Carol Baskin killed her husband. All right. So I had to get that in. All right. So,
wow.
How many Tiger King references do you think we get this weekend on WrestleMania?
Far too many. I've had far too many Tiger King references in life the last 2 weeks. I don't get it. I don't know why we are as a nation, as a society, why we're doing this.
I was just on the Big 89, WSAM 890, huge talk station, and I did my weekly segment with Jen Weigel. Go subscribe to the Jen Weigel podcast. Great podcast about everything going on in culture, and it's apolitical. You don't have to have any side of conversation. Very, very fun. And I did 20 minutes about what you should stream. But we were supposed to do like just 20 minutes on different things. Half of it was about Tiger King. But it's a big thing here. But I do want to talk about streaming moves. Now, obviously, WWE has been one of the innovators of an OTT service, an over-the-top service. They were one of the first companies that had proprietary control of their content to put it on a streaming service that you could subscribe to video-wise. That wasn't adult-oriented. I've heard other people make that thing to me too. I've gotten those DMs where you talk about WWE being so good at their media distribution. How come you don't like talk?
Okay, well, hold on. Let's just get this out of the way. It's 10:45 at night. You know, porn is always going to be on the cusp of technology.
I've had people argue with me that don't want me to like say anything nice about WWE. Try and message me that.
They're always going to be on the cusp of technology, and bless them for it. But outside of that, right below them on the seedy underbelly of entertainment would be the world of professional wrestling, and they're right underneath.
You say that, but the moves that WWE made this week are pretty impressive. Now, let's put this together. Late last year, they signed their two biggest television contracts. All right, going into from out of 18 into 19, putting Fox in the fold with SmackDown, $1 billion deal. $1 billion deal countered by that with NBC Universal to keep Raw over there. All right. Mm-hmm. And that then becomes a conversation we've had with two major executives leaving the company, that WWE would then potentially splinter off some of their biggest events, their biggest pay-per-view events from the WWE network, which has been their pirate ship where they get their $10 from you. That's their OTT pirate ship. All pirate puns excluded this week with WrestleMania and the pirate theme. But they would then, there's been reported for quite some time that they were talking to Disney about putting some of their pay-per-view event on ESPN Plus. And in the past few weeks, ESPN, short on first-run content, what do? They run old WrestleManias. They're going to be running WrestleMania 35 this Sunday afternoon, leading up to night 2 of WrestleMania. So WWE got rights paid. They got paid for that, to do that. Don't know we don't know the sum of it yet. They have a huge deal with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's a very, very profitable deal.
They still don't have a MENA TV deal.
They still what? Excuse me.
They still have a MENA, Middle Eastern and North African TV.
And that's been a big blow. But think about this: they have a deal with Fox, they have a deal with NBC Universal, and have already done stuff with ESPN, which is Disney. That's three of the biggest media companies in the world, while still owning their content. I add to that what they do this week with WrestleMania. WrestleMania, you can get it on the network, but for some reason, they're offering it on what has been the go-to destination for independent wrestling content. AEW is broadcast on there, New Japan Pro Wrestling, FITE.tv. You and I have talked a lot about their content. They've been a very much a game changer for independent wrestling, mixed martial arts, and boxing, ran by a former WWE executive as well. So now you can get both nights of WrestleMania on there for $59.99. You can also get WrestleMania on the Fox Sports app as a pay-per-view. So this is interesting. WWE for the past few weeks has been pushing. You can get WrestleMania through your local pay-per-view provider, still there, the traditional pay-per-view route through your cable, or the WWE Network. And this is the first time in the past few years where they've started to hammer down pay-per-view again as a word, not saying just, hey, get on the network, and you still can. Is this the last WrestleMania for the foreseeable future that isn't tied to pay-per-view? Is this just a way to transition fans back to the pay-per-view dollar, the premium dollar event? We still have the network. We still put a bunch of content on it, but you're going to have a lot of salty fans if they do this.
You're going to have a lot of salty fans. And I think we talk about what the virus has, stopped. It stopped Mania. It stopped this. But it also stopped the rumors circulating of a potential buyer for, WWE was looking to sell content to majors. And today we've seen this come to fruition in the announcement of the Fox FS1 stuff. FS1 is getting the Mania kickoff for this year.
Yes, they're going to have
year ever.
Mania kick that's on cable TV. Mind you, Fox Sports and ESPN, they want first run content. They want it.
But is USA salty? USA always gets the kickoff. They're not getting anything this year.
Interesting to say that. And usually they get like a WrestleMania special once a year, some TV, some extra TV there as well.
But to speak to your point about the network losing the pay-per-views or perhaps transitioning back into a premium pay-per-view,
being altered in some way. I think you will get WrestleMania on the network always. You may not get it live.
That's a real bad move, pal.
Yeah, but who knows? It could be a very different thing. What's to say? They say you can get it on ESPN Plus, but you can still get it on the network. I've always thought, why don't they just raise the price of the network?
If anything that I think is respectable, it's raising the price of the network.
Yeah.
Don't take away content and then not expect people to be angry and then have to corporate speak your way out of your core audience base and their anger. Because I get it. Look, they have to answer to stockholders.
Yeah.
And it's not about what Kim Gray in the chat wants or what Logan Blade in the chat wants. But at the end of the day,
I think they do listen to fans overwhelmingly. And if there is a very overwhelmingly negative response to it, maybe they'll make an alteration. I mean, WWE's made changes like this before. Fans wanted Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania in 2014, and they got him there. And
this is a completely different animal.
What?
This is a completely different animal because
when there's that galvanizing force, it could happen. I'm not taking it away from them to change it, but it does look like. But also, there's a lot of things with this that we just don't know that aren't publicly known. I mean, when people brought up the network, there's a lot of people who were opposed to the idea of it. Like, why would I pay for this? How is this going to work? I could watch it on my phone. Does it work on time? There's a lot of people who are angry when the network came out as a service itself, and now it's the norm. It's the standard of how you get wrestling now. And I've heard a lot of fans complain, how does AEW even charge you for a pay-per-view, right?
I've said that every single time because that's how I feel. I think if you can pay $10 for WrestleMania 1 through 36, then there is no reason that any promotion in the world should expect a $59.99 payment for something we get all the time. In that vein, there is no reason that WWE should expect any diehard fan to go, I'm going to not do the network and I'm going to do ESPN Plus.
Maybe that's the reason why they're doing it. Maybe they're saying, hey, we'll give you the rights to this pay-per-view if you want to air it. Sure. You can get it through any pay-per-view subscriber, and you've had for how long has the network been on now? 7 years?
6 years.
6 years. So the whole time you could get on pay-per-view if you wanted to and pay the money, or you can get on our network for $10. We give you the first month for free, right?
Right.
So I think there's a case there. And also, everyone gets on me for defending WWE and all this stuff, but I always look at things like a media guy, and you always get mad at me about this. Look how much free stuff they put out in the last 2 weeks. Everyone on quarantine, they put a bunch of free content out there, a lot of big matches and stuff like that. So
I think that's rad. I think, listen, free matches on YouTube, that's totally dope. Because you're gonna find like your brother Brendan per se.
yeah,
If they drop Brett and Owen in a cage at SummerSlam on
I'm gonna
YouTube,
call him up and be like, dude, you and I are gonna watch this together.
yeah, like let's
fire this up.
fire it up. I mean, people do that. There are people who consume wrestling through YouTube first. I don't think that isn't smart. I think because of that, it makes it more difficult to say, hey, I'm going to make you pay $60 through something else for Mania.
Other people with their different opinions. Steven Chambers, big fan of the show. Thank you, Steve. He says, bring back blast area, show pay-per-view at Buffalo Wild Wings or Hooters. Yeah, that is an experience that a lot of people, hey, we can't even go to Hooters or Wild Wings anymore, But you could say that experience is kind of gone. When it was a pay-per-view event, you would get together and you pay for it. And that was the way they kind of pushed these things, destination things. You get everyone together, you throw your money in the pot, you watch the big matches. But now with the network, it's kind of, you have those WrestleMania, Rumble, I was going to travel down to Florida, and you and I are going to go take in Mania in person. I think when those things change and the accessibility becomes so much more important to people, you're still going to be able to get this pay-per-view accessibly. Some people have the money, don't care. I'm going to spend it, and I want to know what those numbers are going to be like on the Fox Sports app where you're paying 60 or the FITE TV app. I want to know what those numbers are coming out of this.
I would like to know as well, and I guarantee you we might not even see them because they might be staggeringly low, and that is not me trying to be a pessimist about this. That is me questioning the logic of, we didn't even touch on this, FITE TV, why would you buy WrestleMania through FITE? I say this as somebody who has bought many events through FITE. Why would you buy WrestleMania through FITE when you have the network? I really am scared that they're going to try to pivot away from the network, because I just don't think that that's where you need to be in 2020.
All right, so people text in here and say Jamie Bartlett, 2 different tiers. One includes pay-per-view, one doesn't. Yeah, they that was another thing. George Barrios and Michelle Wilson are the executives that were
remember that news?
Yeah, they were booted out of the company a few months ago, and
when life was normal.
And life was normal, but Barrios and Wilson were said to be key people in getting the network up and running and getting it in the black. They put I heard the number was huge. Nearly $100 million was put into the development of the WWE network. But clearly it was, they started to turn over and make money on this. But the subscribing number was always predicted to be 3-4 million. And it always wavered between about 1.8 and about 2.4. 2.5 sometimes, and I could be wrong on that, but I know that's kind of the window they were in, and it would always go up around WrestleMania season. But that's the cycle of wrestling. There's so many more people watching our podcast this time of year and downloading. I can tell you that from January to April. Now, is it different this time of year? Sure, everything's different. But
let me ask you a question, Kev.
Sure.
How many people watch Netflix?
Oh God, over what? It's one of the most subscribed streaming services in the world. Got to be 75 million. What? I don't even know.
I said, how many people watch it?
Many more. And the thing is, I could say a lot.
There you go.
You and I would say this, and they said this when the network came out. More people watched WrestleMania when it got on the WWE network than have ever watched it before, because we got it on the network and you could have it on 2 different devices and you could have it in an entire house and have it in multiple rooms. And
then your buddy's going to text you, yo, man, let me get your network
password.
Let me get your network password. Because they haven't fixed that feature, and that is why the subscriber count doesn't go up, because you got 5 people on one account just doing it up watching WrestleMania.
And watch that, people will be mad about that too, But here's the thing: I don't have any issue with that. You know what I mean? I don't have any issues with that. And I've had that thing a couple of times where I log into the network and they're like, "Oh, you're on too many devices." I'm like, "Who's on my subscription?" or something like that.
Yeah, I've had to change the password a few times.
Yeah, a lot of people with different takes here, definitely. People, Logan Blade texted, this is a silly one here. Have the AEW roster as the WrestleMania audience.
Yeah, it would be a humbling moment for one Cody Rhodes.
They're all having a moment, and I'm not having a moment. We all need to get our moment, guys.
I saw a comment up here that it was from James Espanto.
Mm-hmm.
Good old faithful fan of the show. Before the network, I would only order Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Robert and Big Kev, would you pay $60 for a non-4 pay-per-view? I have a hard time paying $60 for a big 4 pay-per-view, let alone.
And here's the thing: $10 a month, just take it out of my account, auto sign up. I don't even think about it.
I don't even think about it either.
Some of those pay-per-views that aren't the big 4, I was like $10. Yeah, sure. That doesn't seem like a big loss, you know.
Well, but I'll tell you this: when I have to pay Bleacher Report Live, a part of my soul dies. Like to drop $60 on 3 hours of content.
Podcast listeners, Robert put his hand on his
chest. I touched my chest.
Pearls.
A part of
review pearls.
A part of my soul dies.
Oh, come on.
Because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money in the modern times.
We're jumping into questions here in our closing segment of the show as we talked about the pay-per-view situation of it here. And if you want to give me hate, by the way, about me being so pro WWE, which seems to be a thing this past week, people are on me about that. I'm just too nice to. I heard this too. I'm too nice to WWE. I'm real. Okay, I'm real, and I think everyone's trying to do as best they can, and you can question their actions later on. But whatever. You ready for questions, buddy?
I think I'm ready for questions. I don't know why you open the floodgates like that for more.
Bring it on.
Unheralding comments. Kevin says, bring on your negativity because he's going to combat you with the power of positivity. I am not so welcoming towards your negativity, but if you want to bring that, you know where to find me on Twitter and all that.
I know you're busy in the wrestling media world.
Yeah, I really am because, life gives and takes. We should all be grateful that we are still continuing to work considering the circumstances, but wow, wrestling news doesn't stop. Today alone, there are stories up on WrestleZone.com about The Undertaker, because it's 2020, taking to Twitter and thanking Chris Jericho for the term ass clown, with which he called the OC. There's that up there. There are interviews with Myron Reed.
An old tip of the skull cap, if you will. Thank you for that.
It's so odd. But yeah, I'm over on Fightful.com. That's where I'll be for WrestleMania weekend. That's where I'll be. I'll be over on Fightful.com.
Not saying his name. Do not.
I just did.
I just say his name.
Sean is a good guy. You want to talk about?
He's a good guy.
You want to talk about scoops? Fightful guy.
He's a bad guy. He's not like you. You and I are good bad boys. Okay, we're good boys to our moms. We're bad boys with the ladies. Okay, we are good bad boys. Him, bad guy, straight bad guy. Not a cool Razor Ramon bad guy. Bad guy. Okay.
Well, I'm very tempted to say duh, but Sean Ross South, he's a good guy. He's got scoops. Check out Fightful. Check out Fightful Select. I'm also on the Zone. I'll be here covering Empty Arena AEW like I always am on the Zone. I'll be here for all that because wrestling is my life, and I want to share that with you.
Someone said all empty wrestling. It's all empty wrestling.
Yeah, it is all empty wrestling.
Yeah. You can follow me at Kev Kellum on Twitter and the Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't yet. Also, if you're a YouTube fan, we're posting the shows up on YouTube, so you can check them out there as well. And if you're enjoying our show on YouTube, I know we're trying to grow that audience. Don't forget to hit like and smash and subscribe. We're on YouTube, and we're not a video that is geared towards children. So enjoy our show and pass on.
Cover your children's ears because we can't help but swear.
Yeah. Also, you can listen to me on 101 WKQX. I'm on the alternative rock radio station. Listen to us on your smart speaker. A lot of people streaming audio around the world getting tired of stuff. Maybe they're running around the house or doing something like that. You can stream us on your apps. 101 WKQX. We're on TuneIn. We're on iHeart. All your smart speaker stuff. We do have news and information about what's going on with the virus, but we're playing a lot of great music too. And
there you don't have to cover your kids' ears. Let them listen to Lovely the band. Let them listen to Foster the People. Mm-hmm. I would if I had a child. So you should too. Hit up your smart speaker, say enable 101 WKQX skill. I know all the good stuff. I know where it's there.
You know what's up. I
know what's up. People over there.
You ready for questions, man? Let's jump right into them.
Yeah.
Anthony Castellano says, how will this affect the post-Raw and post-SmackDown after Mania? Will they have returns of superstars, new superstars debuting, which tends to be the post-Mania thing? The start of the new WrestleMania season after WrestleMania is to do that big Raw after Mania. I don't know if we're going to have that Raw after Mania vibe. It's a different situation. This has been taped. We do know that this Raw has been taped already, so we know what they will have on that show. And WrestleMania this weekend has already been taped as well. So I will say we're in this guideline from the federal government in the United States for the next 30 days. I don't think Florida is going to change a regulation coming into April. And we're going to be in this situation where I think WWE may have to do events with small crowds as they come back for this. I think all wrestling is going to be like that.
You know what I like about that idea is I want them to realize that, hey, it's okay to run small arenas. It's okay to have WrestleMania at Allstate. It's okay to have WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden.
Here's the thing, Robert. I see it. This is me speculating. There's no news to this. With the regulations that have happened in Japan, you can run events, but there's limits on how many people can come to the event. The idea of WWE running a show where only 250 people can come, really with the crew that would be like less than 150 people, is that appealing? Are you going to want to see Undertaker in a soundstage? Basically, they're going to run the Performance Center with fans in it. If we get out of this and in May we start to scale events up in the United States, is in this position where they start to have people come back in small groups like church and stuff like that. But they're not going to run arenas. Is that something visually fans could get over? Or I think after no fans at a show, this is going to be a bigger deal.
Hell yeah! And if you're in the Florida area, why the hell wouldn't you go to the Performance Center and go watch The Undertaker closer than you could ever?
If it's less than 150 fans, give the tickets away. Have it be contest winners.
I think that would be very appealing. That'd be very appealing to me. I'd go immediately.
If you're a WWE Network subscriber, your name has been drawn. And we're gonna fly you. We're gonna fly you down to Florida. Fly. Go out there. Spend money.
I don't know if we're gonna fly people, but we'll keep it local. We'll keep it local.
Braun Strowman is gonna put all the fans in a cart and he's gonna haul them down here on his big back. That's what we're gonna have him do. Herman Tagar Texans, do you guys see WWE taking time off WrestleMania? There's some speculation that could happen.
Now, okay, let's in a world where WWE's biggest slogan has always been "We don't have time off," I think time off is necessary, unless you've got like CM Punk ready for the Raw after Mania, and you're gonna somehow manage.
No, putting that blood in the water for the smart sharks, man.
I'll kill it in a second. Hold on. Unless you're gonna do that, which you won't, because apparently, according to reports from Dave Meltzer, Punk is the one guy blacklisted from ever working in the company, which is amazing.
Yeah, I've read that as well.
But aside from that, like, what are you gonna do? What can you do to keep fans' interest in an empty arena show? It's hard enough for me to watch it. What are you going to do when Taker goes away? When Edge says, all right, I'm not going to make that trek to Orlando for this. When, Goldberg
your featured players.
Yeah. And even like Cena, like, we're still in WrestleMania season. We're still in an abnormal time for wrestling, regardless of the virus. When you factor that in, what happens when it's Money in the Bank in an empty arena? Do you really want to put 8 guys through Money in the Bank in front of nobody?
Just like AEW doesn't want to do blood and guts, 2 cages and blood and all that stuff with no fans. Right. It's all questionable. I can see it going either way. Everything now feels so hard to predict, Logan Blade texting you to say, Kevin and Robert, you guys are doing a wonderful job on WrestleZone. Thank you so much for your time, effort, and energy. Thank you, Logan. I see you in the chat all the time. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. SupportWrestlezone.com. We're independent guys. A lot of us have 2 or 3 jobs, and this is something we put extra time into. I've been working a 12-hour shift before we did this, so thank you for your help there as well. More questions kind of come up here as we're flying by here. Question about WrestleMania this weekend. We know a lot of changes with different talent being on and off the show. All right. We know that Andrade won't be on the show. He's pulled out. Austin Theory took place. Roman Reigns pulled out of his match with Goldberg, saying he doesn't want to risk it. He has leukemia. He has an autoimmune deficiency of some kind, right? Miz was sick of some level. Does that mean he has a coronavirus? No, he's not said anything like that. But they felt like they take your temperature. If they don't like your temperature when you go into the performance center where they're filming everything, you're not going to be in the ring. We're not going to have you in the ring. So Morrison versus one of the Usos for the title is reportedly something that's in the talk here. Explain the situation to me, because we're getting a 3-way ladder match, but Miz is still being advertised, but we know Miz isn't going to be there. That's WrestleMania this weekend with the SmackDown tag titles.
I'm going to actually say this. I did report last week over on Fightful that Miz wouldn't be on the show. I also paid very close attention to the reports of it being Morrison versus a singular Uso. Now, that was prior to watching the show. And then you see that Michael Cole announces a 3-way.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I have to assume that Meltzer got his report wrong, because Miz TV is set for Friday with both tag teams. So unless you do some wild gimmick that will somehow eliminate one team entirely and take the Miz out of the equation, they're all there. They're all filming a segment. Why wouldn't they film the match?
Good point. Tyler Wilson texting in here saying, when is Ronda Rousey going to be back? Well, Tyler, that's a big question. I can see Ronda Rousey being a player for WWE, especially after WrestleMania season. Now, the speculation was that she left WWE last year after WrestleMania. She did have a wrist injury, so it was, she was going to be out of there. But the word was that she was going to be out of the picture after WrestleMania last year anyway, and had to start having children with her husband. She's still under contract with WWE into next year. I would say some of that time's going to roll over, and maybe WWE uses her as a big name player after WrestleMania. Very, very likely. I don't see her before WrestleMania. I don't see her showing up at WrestleMania. But certainly it would be a moment if Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler, who was with Ronda Rousey when she appeared at WrestleMania for the first time a few years back. Remember that? When she ran into the ring and Ronda ran into the ring? Shayna Baszler is right there with her in the front row. And Shayna has become a huge name for WWE and a big project. And it looks like Shayna is set to wreck Becky Lynch this weekend. If they want to do Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey, woo boy. That is
Bro, you don't set anything up with Ronda in front of nobody. I'm sorry.
I'm saying long game.
I understand that. And there was a part of me that thought that was almost a lock, when we thought we were getting people. But now that the circumstances are what they are, I can't imagine Ronda does anything before we get a full crowd again. I will say that I think Ronda Rousey is a great hook for your first show back with people.
I agree with you. Sell tickets, man. That's what you got to do. People with different opinions kind of text in here. I want to keep up with your questions. I'm scrolling around here. Scrolling. Keep them doggies scrolling. Go hard. Oh, thank you, Jamie Bartlett. He says, you aren't pro WWE. People mad at me about my pro WWE things that I say. I'm not, quote unquote, pro WWE. You're just open to pro wrestling in general. Thank you.
Okay. I want that window open. I want that air cracked. Okay, you're not pro WWE, you're pro wrestling. I get it. You're pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. That's what I am. Yeah. That's what I am.
All right. What do you think? You think we got time for one more?
Yeah, we got time for one more. Is there one you see flying by here that gets your attention?
Let's see. Let's get a newbie. Let's see if we can find a newbie in here. We got
All right, here we go.
I don't see some newbies.
I like this one from Chad Garish. I'd rather see the event postponed. Obviously, postponed WrestleMania has been a big thing too. Chad saying, I'd rather see them postpone the event. Wouldn't that honestly mean a lot more? Don't continue to announce matches that won't happen. If Reigns is out, let us know as soon as possible. It's not like we don't know the pandemic is happening.
Let me cut you off before you try to go and spin it the way you're going to spin it, and I know what you're going to say. The Reigns thing, they should have effing stopped right dead in its tracks. As soon as they let Ryan Satin, because they let him do it, folks, he works with the company hand in hand. They let him drop the news. As soon as they let him drop the news, they looked stupid for having Michael Cole, Triple H, and everybody in the room.
It's stupid again. The way you say stupid is entertaining.
Stupid. I'm sorry. My real life New York, not doing a bit, just flew right out of me. They look stupid for doing that because, you know, look, Michael Cole's saying, ahead of the biggest challenge of his life against Goldberg, we're looking back at Roman Reigns versus Triple H. Meanwhile, we know Roman's out of the match. You should have just announced right away. Do a cut-in. For God's sake, they're taped. Triple H is there. Cut a promo from your house. I'm sure you have an office.
Everyone's cutting promos from the house.
Cut a promo from the house. Like, I just don't understand. And if they have the audacity, I don't think they do. Because Roman Reigns and Goldberg are supposed to go face to face this Friday, so they gotta cut it somewhere. Because otherwise, what are we even doing?
I don't think they come out of this week's SmackDown not saying Roman Reigns is not participating.
I hope not. Roman Reigns has come out and said Roman Reigns is not.
We have it at WrestleZone.
It's just a weird.
Yeah,
it's a weird time, and I'm giving them every benefit of the doubt as humanly possible. But then they go and do this, and it's impossible.
And they spent a lot of time in that episode of SmackDown last week because the news broke that afternoon. It was Thursday, right?
Yeah, it was Thursday evening.
I remember you told me like, hey, you got to read the site before we do the podcast. You got to catch up. And you reached out to me before we did the show. I was like, oh, whoa! I was like, this is big. And like there were several other guys that came off the show the next day, right? So and then SmackDown airs at night. I'm like, all right, how are they going to write this out? You know, and they didn't. And they didn't.
They went the other way entirely. Like, oh man, this match is going to be so epic. Triple H is like, oh, if Roman can get out of that first onslaught, it's going to be so great when Roman Reigns. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I
know it's definitely a head scratching. I want to know this question. Do you see WWE doing another two-night WrestleMania next year? Well, I think
hell no.
You say hell no, but here's why I say there's a possibility of it. WWE is experimenting with a lot of different things in terms of presenting WrestleMania this year. They're putting it on pay-per-view. They're pushing pay-per-view as another thing you could do again. All right. They have the network. What if? It's all what if, right? What if this is, hey, one of the nights of WrestleMania is on the network. Next night of WrestleMania is on pay-per-view. What they could play with the whole thing. They own it, right? So there's a lot of presentation with it. A lot of people enjoyed New Japan Pro Wrestling doing 2 nights of Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year at the Tokyo Dome. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed the idea of 2 nights being broken up. I'm not opposed to the idea. Now, can you put together 2 cards that are going to sell at a football stadium 2 nights in a row? That is a challenge. You know, that is a real significant challenge, especially with wrestling fans who are really fly by, not by the season, but definitely casual fans are, but fly by what characters they like and what storylines really invest them into it. But it is WrestleMania. And I do think fans would tour around the world and go see it if it's WrestleMania. I think fans would go. If you told me WrestleMania was next year and there was 2 nights, I would bet on the idea of them selling out 2 nights, but it would be a challenge. And maybe they would have to pay for one of those nights a little bit.
I never get to have vitriol on this show, and I like this one because Joseph Priestley wants to just tell us that it was taped before they backed out. Mm-hmm. All the Raw and SmackDown were taped. Mania was taped Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, that's when they backed out, bud. Roman's not on the show. For all what we're hearing, Miz isn't on the show. Andrade is not on the show. Dana Brooks not on the show. Lashley was quarantined. The jury's out as to whether or not he's on the show. Asuka and Cesaro at one point weren't on the show. This is a mess. It doesn't matter when they taped it. because it's a mess regardless. The world is a mess right now, and we're talking about Wrestlemania over here. Like I don't understand it. I just want to go back to a normal show.
Let's go back to normal. Tyler Wilson texted in again here with a picture of his entire basketball team. All right. Tyler says, WrestleZone on mandatory. Who will win, Edge or Randy Orton? I would say this is definitely a match this weekend that fans are very, very invested in. I would say.
Let me tell you, if Edge was to retire and stay away for almost a decade and then come back and lose a last man standing match in front of nobody, what a wild journey that would be. No. Edge has to win. I think Edge does something very violent as well.
What if he doesn't win? Will you be super upset if he doesn't win? Will the Edge head in you be so frustrated?
It would really have to depend on how he lost. Because like Randy, the good thing about Randy is Randy's Randy. Randy's credible. Randy is golden. But like Edge should win. There's an argument to be made that maybe they should be the main event.
I think so. I think you're right too.
You know, like
they'll definitely be slotted in one of the top spots one of those nights for sure.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into that on tomorrow night's show. We'll talk about how, if you're doing a 2-night WrestleMania, what matches should go on last. We'll talk about the order of WrestleMania on our Wednesday, April 1st edition of WrestleZone Daily. Subscribe to the WrestleZone Radio podcast. You get us, you get Survey Says with Dominic D'Angelo, bonus interviews, and so much more. It's all available. Subscribe. WrestleZone Radio on your podcast app of choice, available on all the different podcast apps. Go subscribe. Shamugaparian, big fan of the show, texting and saying it was my birthday, March 29th. Thank you so much, Shambu.
Happy birthday. We didn't know.
Happy birthday.
Was that Sunday? Was that Sunday?
I believe it was Sunday.
We're sorry. We would have totally thrown you a party.
You know what I would have done for him? I would have found the old mid-1990s WWF Call a Superstar line where you could arrange a phone call, a pre-recorded phone call, from your favorite WWE superstar or WWF superstar of the new generation. Did you know this in the mid-90s that WWE offered this as a service?
I did. Of course I knew that.
How corny is that? You could have had the head shrinkers call you on your birthday.
I've gotten calls from a head shrinker before. I typically don't like it.
Florida is weird, dude.
Totally different conversation for a different day.
If you're out there and you're having a birthday like Shambo, thank you so much. The faithful followers of the show, I see all you guys there in the chat. And if you're with us the first time, fire your questions with us live. I will go into the chat after this episode if you're watching on demand and answer those questions as well. If you're with us on the podcast, hit us up on at WrestleZone.com. More episodes, more bonus content coming this weekend with WrestleMania, or Messelmania, as Robert wants to call it.
Yeah, that was bad. Don't call it that. That was really bad on the fly.
You started it now. All right. You had to be a whole negative Nancy. All right.
Sir.
Negative Nancy. All right. That's what you are. All right. Real attitude, Robert. That's what we're getting. We're getting the RAR in here.
That's right. Okay? It's rare. Let's get off the show before I make any more bad puns. Joseph Priestley says, thank you for the content. Thank you for thanking me for the content, Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for the support of the show. Honestly, there's a lot of choices for WrestleMania, especially WrestleMania week content. There's going to be many, many different podcasts and vlogs and things you can watch. So thank you for watching our show. And if you really liked it, share it with your friends. Hit that like button. You know, that helps us break the constant enemy that we have, that is the algorithms.
Oh, that's a deep cut. You haven't done that bit in a while.
We're going for deep cuts and bits now? Come on now, Robert.
Herman Takar says he might go get a few Corona bottles tonight. Listen, don't go outside. I'm pretty sure there is some service. There might be Uber Eats or something. If you want a beer, they'll deliver a beer to your house.
Yeah.
Don't go outside.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Okay. Stay home.
Sean Smith wants Broso later in the week, pal.
I don't dance for you.
Yeah, I did. Let's get this straight. I tell you what you like. Okay?
You're ridiculous, Robert.
Terrell Diggs is a great faithful fan of the show, Undertaker, American Badass, or Big Evil will show up at WrestleMania.
Oh.
I think so. He's not showing up at WrestleMania. Like, they're just gonna go to some undisclosed location, Boneyard.
You're getting both. You're getting both versions of the Undertaker. It's gonna be taped. He's gonna have two different outfits.
He's gonna have like just a biker chain, but it's gonna be like a link of skeleton bones. Like, and it's gonna be very Mortal Kombat-esque. It's gonna be a good time with Mark and Alan at WrestleMania. I think it's gonna be a fun time.
All right, guys, we will come back tomorrow after WWE NXT and AEW Dynamite. Join us live here on Facebook. And, of course, join us on the podcast as well. When you watch wrestling, turn your brain off a little bit, guys. Calm down, okay? Calm down. We're going to be streaming classic WrestleMania matches on our Facebook page all week long. Jump into that chat. And when you do it, don't come in with an attitude like Robert brought today, okay? Don't come in with the attitude, okay? Breathe. Take a couple of breaths. When you watch wrestling, what are you supposed to do when you watch wrestling, Robert?
You enjoy wrestling.